gosh, I am so worn out. I do not want to do the daily Northside recap.
You have created quite a schedule for yourself.
Oh, but you know what? After next week, it's good. Like I just have to get through next week.
Oh, are you done? Are you off for summer then?
Well, I have a week and a half left. I actually have 2 weeks left. But if I can get through next week is my last full solid week of this kind of stuff.
Right.
So if I can just get through this next week, I'll be good.
Yeah. I long for summers off.
I only get like 2 weeks off. I mean, we're going all over the place. So I mean, I'm off work,
Well,
but it's not
yeah,
relaxing.
you're not working, but you're. I take that. I get every other Friday off if I work extra.
Oh, nice.
That's about all I get for summer.
Okay. Oh boy. Worn out.
You and me both.
Yeah, and these like freaking Iowa games, they're out in New Mexico. So the games aren't getting done till like 11 o'clock. So I'm like,
can you set up a notification to like ding you when it's done?
no, I'm watching because I'm just waiting for it to finish so I can hurry up and do it. But what I'll probably do tonight is just go to bed, get up in the morning and do it.
Yeah.
I don't like doing that. But I don't know. I'm tired. All right, let's check 1, 2, 3. You want to check real quick?
Check 1, 2, 3. Ba 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 ba.
Okay, do it one more time, please.
Check 1, 2. Wednesday. Bulp. All
right,
for Andrew round.
I think I'm ready if you are.
Yeah, I'm just totally winging it. I'm gonna sound like an idiot, but
no, it's fine. And I mean, yeah. And if I need to edit something out, that's no problem. I can do it.
Are you touching on? Do you guys kind of like leave the current game alone, the one that's happening right now?
We'll talk about it. Yeah, especially this one because it's getting close to the end of the game. I mean, you can definitely talk.
I was listening, but I'm not actually.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna see if it was on KCRG.
Yeah, you can talk about it. That's fine.
Like lakes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'd talk about it. Yeah. I mean, you can just mention that it's going on right now. We don't know the end result. So, all right, here we go.
This is Anthony Hutless, and this episode is brought to you by IVMV, Patreon supporter like me. This is Anthony Hutless, and this episode is brought to you by IVMV, Patreon supporter like me.
Hi, and welcome to this midweek episode of the IVMV podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts. My name is Corey, and I am joined by one other host of this podcast, Kurt. How's your week treating you, Kurt?
Oh, no, this is Andy. Just kidding. It's Kurt. Yeah, it's okay. I've had better weeks, but, I won't go into too much detail.
Right. So, as of 5 minutes ago, you had no idea you were going to be on this episode.
Yeah, I got a little text saying Andy, is worthless, and you were done with him. And I said, all right, I'll step up.
I mean, you know what? Sometimes you got to go to the bullpen, and even though you don't want to pull in Kevin Gregg, sometimes you just got to do it.
Sometimes you got to pull in the goggles.
Sometimes you don't have anybody else to go to. What are you going to do? You're going to sit and do it yourself? Manager can't sit out there and pitch.
Nope. That ain't gonna work.
No, Andy had a flat tire tonight, and so I kind of that sucks.
Yeah.
So
it's pinch hit. I prefer a pinch hitter over like crappy bullpen arm.
Okay. You're the Mike Baxter of the IVM.
Yeah, I'll take that.
So we have some news to share on this episode. We have a free iOS app that we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks, and now our free Android app is live, and you can find that in the Google Play Store. So from your mobile device, if you're on iOS, go to ivmv.com/iOS, or if you're on an Android device, then go to ivmv.com/Android. So our apps are completely free. And from the app, you can listen to the podcast. You can connect to our social accounts. My personal favorite feature is that you can email me or call the show directly from the app. I really enjoy the emails that I get every day. It's nice to sit at work and I see I have an email, and it's Cubs Talk. I kind of enjoy that. But if my boss is listening, obviously I don't answer those emails. That's ridiculous. And you can also leave a voicemail, and so we will play it at the end of the next episode. We don't have any for this episode, but call in with your thoughts on the Cubs games that you're watching, or any comments on things that we've discussed here on the podcast. Again, our apps are completely free, and we would like to thank our Patreon contributors for helping make that happen. This Saturday is our meetup at the Iowa Cubs game. If you're in Des Moines or the state of Iowa, or you're willing to travel to Des Moines in the state of Iowa, then get a hold of us. It's going to be a good time. We'll meet at El Bait Shop for beers in the afternoon. You can email me for more information, Corey@ivnv.com, or you can tweet at us @IVNV. So the Cubs are wrapping up this Marlins series as we speak. The Cubs won Game 1, and they lost the second game, and it's not looking very good for the third game. I'm not too optimistic about that right now.
No, the Junior Lake home run was a highlight, but they make a little late 2-out rally here, but yeah, not looking too great in the 8th inning here. But
yeah, so So I thought we could kind of talk about this series before we move on to some other topics. Although first off, we should mention that Jorge Soler has been placed on the DL for a left ankle sprain. Last I saw, it looked like he was going to be out 2 or 3 weeks. Mike Baxter, the Kurt of the Chicago Cubs, was called up.
Who just got a hit, by the way.
Really? Oh, good for him.
He did. So
good for Baxter. I can't. I don't know. There's just something about him. Whenever I hear his name, I think about Baxter, the Arizona Diamondbacks mascot. I don't know.
Not a good association.
No. And then it's also worth mentioning that Chris Bryant was named Rookie of the Month for the month of May. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, tough to argue with that is, award. 7 home runs in May.
Right. I don't think I would venture to guess that will not be the last time that he wins that award.
No. And if you look, obviously power-wise, May was his month, but April was a few games. He only played in 12 games in April, but still a really good month.
Right. He was getting on base. And
yep. So it's sort of like flipped over. It was like high average, high on base in April, no power. And then all of a sudden now, like the average and the on base has kind of come back down to earth, and the power has come on.
Right. Yep. So it's good to see. It's good to see Cubs players get recognition like that. We haven't seen things like that in a while. It seems like there's been players off and on. Like I think Arrieta maybe got pitcher of the month. Maybe I'm wrong last year, but anyways, it's still good to see. So as far as this Marlins series goes, first off, I really thought that the Cubs were going to pull it off Tuesday night. So the Cubs are down 5-2 in the 9th inning. Starlin Castro hits a single. Addison Russell walks. Matt Caesar strikes out. So there's runners at first and second with 1 out, and Coghlan hits a single to right field. Castro ends up holding at third, and Addison Russell was obviously anticipating Castro going home. he rounds second to go to third and was thrown out as Giancarlo Stanton threw to second behind Russell. And really, I think it just kind of felt like that play took the wind out of the Cubs' sails. They basically, I don't know. Basically, instead of having the bases loaded with one out for Miguel Montero, instead it was runners at first and third with 2 outs, and Montero struck out. And what was frustrating about that too is that following Montero, you had Fowler, who was 2 for 4 on the night, Bryant, and Rizzo. So it's like, man, if we just could have, I don't know,
thrown out in scoring
position. Right. It's a little frustrating that although that particular toot bland did not burn me for too long, because these are the types of things that we're going to see. Number one, when the Cubs are aggressive on the base paths, I like that aggressiveness. We've seen it pay off for the Cubs. It seems like that aggressiveness on the base paths has really helped the Cubs. It seems like there was that stretch where we played the Pirates for like 3 weeks straight. And it seemed like that aggressiveness really kind of helped them in those games against the Pirates. And I think, so that's number one. We're just, when you're aggressive on the base paths, these things happen.
You win
and then
some, you lose some.
Right. And then number two, you have to chalk it up to a rookie mistake,
a rookie who's the second youngest rookie in the National League, I think, right? I mean, he's literally the bottom of the age pool. So
right. And I was listening on the radio when that play happened, and Pat really did not explain the situation very well. I was actually kind of like, that's one of the few times where, I kind of said that there were certain things about Pat that have bothered me a little bit this year, but that was a play where I'm driving and I can't see, when it first happened, I thought, oh, okay, Castro must have missed the sign or pulled up for some reason, and that kind of left Addison out to dry. And I was driving home from the baseball game, the Pee Wee game, and Pat really never did explain what happened. It wasn't until I got home and I was able to go back and watch the replay that I saw what happened. So I guess I just think this is the type of learning situation that we're going to see these players go through. And next time, Russell will be looking up. And that's the type of mistake that a smart player doesn't make twice, especially when it changes the complexion of a game like that play did.
Yeah. Do you have any concern over the fact that post-game his response was, well, I was being aggressive? It really wasn't like, man, yeah, I kind of messed up there. I shouldn't have made such a big turn. His response was more, our aggressive mentality, has me thinking, go. I went a little too far and got thrown out. That was his response versus the other, I really should have. He did say at the end of his comments, I should have picked up the third base coach. That was my fault. But, are you for the unapologetic aggressiveness, or are you sort of well, as a young kid, you sort of have to own up to your mistakes?
I don't know. I didn't hear those comments.
I just read it in a Muscat article on Cubs.com.
Well, she has it. It doesn't bother me, I guess, because I think if it was something consistently where he was making mistakes and not really owning up to things and kind of blaming it on their system or whatever, that might concern me. But I don't know. That was at the very end of the game. It's not like he really even had time to, when he made those comments, the play had probably just happened. He hadn't probably even had time to process exactly what happened and thought about, okay, this is what I want to say to the media. It was right at the end of the game. So it's probably just kind of a gut.
Yeah. And that they're gonna watch this film and they're gonna talk to him and say, look, here's what you did right, here's what you did wrong. And I definitely have confidence in the coaching staff to address it. So
and even
I'm definitely in the sort of rookie mistake, let's move on. If it becomes a consistent problem, then we'll talk more. But for now, it seems to be an isolated incident that he messed up. But
I think it's important to remember that we talk about these guys being young. The one thing, Kurt, the first time that you and I went to spring training, the one thing that stood out to us in hanging out on the backfields is the simplicity and how basic the drills were that they were working on. They were working on drills that you would expect little league teams to work on. And that just kind of stood out to us. We thought, man, that is like, you would figure out, you would think that these guys have that part figured out by now. Just the who's going where in the infield, communication between the catcher. I mean, there's so much basic stuff that they're working on at spring training. And you see a situation like this, we saw it again at spring training. Andy and I did again this year, just working on basic stuff over and over. And I mean, to the point, at one point, we only watched like the big league players practice once. And Andy and I were probably there watching it for, I would guess, around a half hour or 45 minutes. And the entire time, it was the starting lineup out there, including like Rizzo was playing first base, and it was just bunt drills over and over and over for like 45 minutes. And you would think that knowing how to field a bunt and where you should be in a bunt, you would think that these major league players have it by then. But this just shows that like there is still a lot of development that takes place when these players are this young. And Addison Russell did not really get the time in the minors that a lot of other players get. And picking up your third base coach to all of us seems like a very basic thing, but it's easy for us to say that. We're not on the field. And yeah, he was probably thinking, okay, so base hit to right field, the ball's behind me, I've got third. This is the type of ball that I go first to third on. I'm sure they're sending Castro because we're aggressive and trying to eke out a win here. And you can see why he just didn't look up, I guess. So I don't know. That's when it happened, and you kind of think like, my gosh, like 13-year-olds know to do that, but it's not that basic. It's not that easy. There's still very fundamental things for them to work on.
Yeah. I'm not ready to freak out yet, but hopefully he learns from his mistakes.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about with this series?
Well, I mean, going into it, I definitely
team at all. I don't even know where the heck to find it.
I've been at least in Iowa here, it's on our local affiliate, so because it's a WGN game, so we have it. But yeah, I mean, we're in the 9th, down by 4, so it doesn't look promising. Looks like they're going to drop the series, which definitely going into it, I expected at least to win the series.
Yeah.
The Cubs or the Marlins are kind of reeling, and the Cubs.
I like how you did that. Reeling, get it? Marlins are reeling.
It wasn't even intentional, but I'll take it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a park where I think you could score a lot of runs, and not necessarily home runs, but if you string some hits together, you can find some gaps. But
yeah, you can count on the Cubs to go in there and let the Marlins soar.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of the thing I've noticed is like, man, how many like hard hit outs can you get? And that's what that's made me question this series. Like going into this park, I wonder how much they talk about, okay, so let's adjust our approach to try to drive the ball versus try to hit it out. Because a lot of these balls they're hitting, they'll hit a 400-foot out versus at any other park, you just hit a home run. But I know that a lot of that's difficult in the moment of an at bat, when you're just trying to hit the ball hard, but still, like, this is a park where you want to, drive the ball to the gap or try to find a hole. But it has been frustrating to see really hard hit balls caught in this series.
Yeah.
Well, it just happened again.
You just wanted to see at least, like you said, at least a series win. A sweep would have been nice because it's not going to get any easier this weekend with a 4-game series with the Nationals.
Yeah, and then you had Lester going today, so you kind of thought, oh, okay, This is a good matchup. You got Lester, and boy, it didn't turn out well. He gave up a lot of home runs, so.
Yeah.
But at the same time, these series are going to happen, so.
Right. Yep. That's why we play 162 games, Kurt.
That's right. It's a marathon. One game at a time.
We when you're the relief pitcher, you just resort to those cliches.
Hey, I'm not a relief pitcher. I'm a pinch hitter.
I mean a pinch hitter. Sorry,
Mike Baxter.
So the Cubs have some American League games coming up. They played two games next week against the Tigers, then 4 games against the Indians. I think those are at Wrigley, though. I think the Indian series is at Wrigley. But then 3 games later against the Twins in Minnesota. So basically they're playing at some American League ballparks. Javier Baez is hitting the ball really well in AAA, so that of course leads to some speculation about whether or not we'll see Baez join the team with that extra spot in the bat for a bat in the lineup. So Kurt, why don't you kind of get us caught up with Javi?
Well, yeah, he's definitely turned things around down in Iowa. I don't actually have his stats pulled up in front of me for current year, but I know he's hitting over 300.
I've got some stuff.
Okay, yeah, he's hitting the ball well. The power's there, and then kind of more indicative of what might happen is the fact that Bryant's played left field, and then Javi's they're saying he's going to play some third base. It doesn't take a genius to figure out what that might mean. So yeah, it's looking like that might be the case, that going into these American League series, that it'd be a good time to call him up. The fact that he's hitting well, and he'll get a few games at third and see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, he's really on a roll in Iowa. He's got a strikeout rate under 25%. That may not sound like that much of a feat, but that's the lowest it's been for him since he was with High A Daytona. Last year with Iowa, it was 30%. His batting average right now is the highest that it's been since he was in Low A in Peoria. Last year when he was with Iowa, it was 260 when he got called up, and right now it's 325, which is really impressive.
Yeah, it is impressive given like the amount of heat he was. He really did not perform well last year, and we've talked about that a lot. But like for the fact that for him to come off of that year and then, it's probably hard for a guy like that to have to go back to AAA, and then for him to be like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it, and then he did. Like, man, he's playing really well.
Yeah, I like him.
I would love and my hope is that he's gonna get called up. We don't know when, but sometime soon. And then when he does, I'd love for people to sort of fall in love with him again, because he was our guy last year. He was like Chris Bryant last year, and we were so excited about him coming up, and then he did what rookies do and kind of fizzled. But I'd love for him to just light it up this year.
Yeah. In fact, I mean, this is kind of outdated, but Andy and I had the opportunity to sit down with Baez and talk with him when he was with Peoria, and that's been 2 or 3 years ago. But yeah, you can find that interview on our website. If you go to ivmv.com, on the right-hand side, there's some little images for the different player interviews that are there. So Baez is there, Schwarber, Vogelbach, and Almora, I believe. But yeah, you can hear basically, Schwarber. Yeah. So me and, Andy and I got to sit in the dugout with Javi before a game, like in the middle of the afternoon, and just talk, and very likable. I liked him a lot. I thought he was really nice, very polite. So I've been a fan of him ever since that conversation. But I hope he does well, and I'm ready to see him. And you add, especially with Soler going on the DL, and you can move Coghlan to right or something like that, slide Bryant out there, adding Javier Baez to that lineup. I mean, obviously you're losing Soler, but adding Javier to Rizzo and Castro and Bryant and Russell, it's like, oh my gosh, it's just it's so
kind of
fun.
A silly lineup.
Yeah, I mean, very potent and dangerous, and ultimately, I just hope that Javier got his strikeout thing kind of under control. If he's striking out 25% of the time, 25% of the time, but showing the power that he did with the Cubs last year, and I think he's got 7 home runs, maybe 8, something like that.
But he's had a couple of multi-homer games too, which is
including last night. He hit 2 home runs. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I should listen to this podcast called the Daily Northside Recap, but I'm pretty sure he went 4 for 5 with 2 home runs.
Sounds right.
Yeah, I was really tired when I recorded last night, so I don't really remember much of it. But yeah, I just, man, at this point, I'm hoping he's there on Saturday when we're there.
Yeah, there is in Des Moines, not.
Right. I hope he's in Des Moines for our Iowa Cubs meetup.
Yeah. Boy, that would suck if he got called up Friday. Or
I know.
Because they've shown they'll put a guy at a new position, and then be like, "Oh, he got 2 games, good enough."
Yeah, I know.
Don't do that.
Wait till Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. It sounds like a good day.
Maybe why bring him up in the middle of a series? Just wait until Monday. No, I would really like to see.
Well, Monday's the off day, right? Yeah, Monday's an off day.
Yeah, so perfect. There you go. Tuesday.
So start him in Detroit.
Yep. Perfect. I just really hope he's there on Saturday because I want to watch him. I have enjoyed. I would say that I would find myself stopping whatever I was doing last year, the first couple weeks that he was up, and making sure I was near the TV to watch his at bats. Even more so than Bryant. I just think he's the way he swings. I mean, it's just such an exciting swing, and it's so just brutal, and watching him in person is pretty amazing. When Andy and I got to interview him, we watched him take batting practice, and at that point, I had never seen anyone hit a ball that hard. Other than, I should take that back. I saw Albert Pujols hit the ball in person, and he hits the ball really freaking hard. But I had never seen anyone that young hit the ball. I mean, I'd been to a lot of minor league games, and it was just whoa, there's a big difference there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did get to see. I've been to one Iowa game, so I sort of saw him, but I had both kids with me, so I didn't really actually see much. But at least I can claim I saw him in Iowa.
Yeah. Just a second. I'm getting dings.
Ding.
I don't like getting dings while I'm recording. Shoot. Come on. It says there's no live broadcast, but I definitely. Come on. So we'll just go from here to the questions.
Okay. The phone is dead. I think I'm reaching that phase of iPhone where your phone just doesn't hold a charge anymore.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. Okay.
What's happening?
Oh, the live stream wasn't going on, so Jason in New Mexico was asking me where it was. But I messed up when I put the embed code in. Okay. So we'll just kind of pick up from there.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, all right, we'll pick back up where we left off. We did get a few questions sent into us. Steve emailed and asked, did Castro's 30-second home run home run? Okay, did I copy in that wrong?
No.
Does that say, did Castro's 30-second home run trot both you?
No, it says bother.
Bother. Oh, okay. I was like, well, this doesn't make sense with me. What? Okay, let me start over. Well, we got a few questions sent into us. Steve emailed and asked, did Castro's 30-second home run trot bother you? Made me chuckle, but I'm a Castro fan. How about you, Kurt?
I didn't actually see it.
Okay.
So it's hard. I can't react, but probably not. I'm a converted.
Probably not.
Well, I'm a converted. Like this kind of thing used to really, really irritate me. But just in the last year or two, I've started to come around a little bit. Like, for example, tonight, the Lake home run. I don't know. I think there's something to a little bit of swagger and a little bit of arrogance that can kind of lift a team. Like he almost, tonight Lake almost started a fight, which could have been good for them. But yeah, I don't know. I think that, again, I didn't see it, but I'm starting to like the swagger a little bit more now that we're a better team than when we were a horrible team.
Well, and on top of the swagger, I want to pretend that Castro did that just to piss off the Cubs fans that don't like him.
Yeah.
Like, forget about like kind of having swagger in the division or against other teams. Like, I don't really know where to start with this Castro hate. A few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, Andy talked about how good Castro really is. And I don't have those numbers. Gosh, dang it. Okay. Sorry. I don't have those numbers pulled up in front of me, but do you remember what it was? I mean, it was essentially.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was around hits. And the fact that, he's already at 900 hits now and he's 25 years old. And I think, what is this, his fifth or sixth season? He's three-time All-Star. I mean, he kind of just outlined the fact that, yeah, he may not be like sort of top elite player, but he's been really, really good. And he's going to hit he's going to be over 1,000 hits at 25 years old. That's pretty impressive.
I believe the stats that Andy gave, like, I think that for shortstops in the first 5 years of their career after like 1961 or something, that Castro leads in base hits for all shortstops. And I just think that, I don't know, it seems like this is kind of a topic that is coming up a lot right now. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Castro or Baez or someone could potentially be traded, like quite possibly traded. And so there's a lot of Castro hate going on, which I find kind of frustrating because I feel like at other times when the Cubs have decided, go back like 5 years in that era, I'm not saying exactly 5 years ago, but in that era, it seemed like there were players that the Cubs wanted to move and needed to move, and Cubs fans and Cubs media, sports talk radio and everything, just ran players into the ground. And whether or not that actually affects the value of a player, I don't really know, because I don't know what if organizations are actually paying attention to that type of stuff. I would assume not, but it can't be good. And it makes no sense for Cubs fans to make, to complain about somebody that the Cubs could potentially be trying to move. Now, it's not like I think that general managers are looking at Cubs.com message board or articles comments, which I think some of the commenters on there probably assume that, you know, Billy Beane is looking at it because he can learn from these brilliant people on the Cubs.com, you know, commenters on Kerry Muscat articles. But it doesn't make any sense to run Castro into the ground, and he's so good. I don't understand why people don't see that. And I just feel like his good plays are overlooked and his errors are just blown out of proportion. And it's not to say that he doesn't make a lot of errors, but look at that over the shoulder catch that he had. I believe it was Monday night. There's a lot of shortstops in baseball that don't make that play, but the people that don't like Castro are not going to pay attention to that. And they're going to dismiss the number of hits he had. I mean, I mentioned I read that thing on Cubs Instagram when I was looking for an internet muscle flex. I believe it was Instagram. Maybe it was a Cubs.com article. And it said, you know, like that Castro, you know, it's quite possible he's going to get to 3,000 hits. You know, it's I would say almost likely. And it said that he could potentially get to 4,000. And somebody said, you know, let him get those hits, those 4,000 hits with some other team. I mean, that just blows me away. I can't wrap my head around that. And I understand that Castro can be at times frustrating, but at times he's so freaking good. He's so good. And I'm at the point where, like, I find kind of his, I don't think it's the right word, but his like aloofness, I find it endearing. Like, I get a real kick out of it. Like that thing, you know, his mirroring play that he did with Chris Bryant. I think it's hilarious. It's so funny. And like, I understand that, you know, yes, someone could have been hurt. Yes, we could have confused Rizzo. I get those things, but I still find it hilarious that like that didn't really cross Castro's mind.
Yeah. And I guess the
and he's so freaking good. He's so good.
The thing is, like, we focus so much on his defense and how like the defensive miscues hurt, you know, and the reality is, like, if you, let's say, forget the, you know, how you feel about him personally, but his defensive WAR is definitely under 0, right? He's not an elite shortstop, so he's gonna give up a little WAR there, but it's barely under 0. You know, it's like just a skosh under 0. But then he makes up for it so much on the offensive side. But, you know, he's kind of averaging like in that 2 to 3 range. So it's like, you know, a 2 to 3 WAR player on a like 6, what does he make? 5-6 million, something like that. And his contract is tiered, so I don't know exactly what he makes, but like that's pretty good value. And I wouldn't argue that you couldn't find a better shortstop in baseball, but in this lineup, for him to sort of fill that role and still be really good offensively, I don't understand the hate either. I wouldn't get into a huge fight with somebody that he's not the greatest shortstop, but he's pretty damn good. So, I'll take the defensive miscues for the offensive value. And you know, this year he's been down in offense, so yeah, it's easy to pick on him, but overall in his career, he's been pretty good.
But down for him is not like a weak shortstop of previous eras. You know what I mean? He still has some power. He's still got some pop. Right. He's still got some pop. He's still, you know, what's he hitting right now? Like 270 or something? I
think just under that, right around there.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know.
And maybe people got spoiled last year. Last year was an incredible year for him. So,
yeah,
I don't.
It just seems like whenever the Cubs may be trying to move someone, there's a segment of fans that just turn on that player. And that's not to say that there's been people that have been critical of Castro all along. There's no doubt about that. But you talk about his defensive miscues and being able to look past that at what he brings offensively. I think you also have to look past his defensive miscues to see some of the like amazing things that he does defensively. You know, like that over the shoulder catch. I think there's a lot of shortstops in baseball that just don't make that catch. And you have to, if you're going to get frustrated by an error, you have to also look at those types of things and, you know, see the value that's there too. So
yeah,
all right, we'll leave it there.
Yeah,
we like Castro.
Yeah.
This next question comes from our associate producer, Joshua Hansen. He says, how does a Cubs fan since childhood who did not grow up near Chicago explain to their friends/relatives why they are devoted to the team, i.e. haters always looking for bandwagoning when there's clearly none for our team with their recent, and then in parentheses, last 100 years plus success?
Well,
I was reading his thing again. That was that pause. He said it's time for IVMV to play the role of the apologist. I don't know. You're not going to be able to. I've kind of learned over the years that you can't really explain to anyone why you're a fan of a team that you are in a way that's going to make sense to them. It makes, like, for people, I'm going to go there, Kurt. A lot of people can't fathom why I am a Notre Dame fan. And they'll, as much as I say, well, here's the reasons why, it doesn't make sense to them. And so they're just not going to get it.
Yeah, and I do think that for people who aren't Cubs fans or even baseball fans, there's this sort of baseline assumption that all Cubs fans are the type of Cubs fans that maybe none of us like. That I guess that's unfair. Like, I don't care what kind of Cubs fan you are. You can be any level. Right. That's fair. That's your thing. But like, there is this assumption that all Cubs fans are like, we don't really pay attention and we just drink too much and we're not in it for baseball. We're in it for a party, that kind of thing. And
which is absolutely stupid because I hate the whole like, oh, Cubs fans are not paying attention. You watch any TV broadcast of a baseball game and there's people sitting behind home plate waving to the camera just like they do at Wrigley Field, staring at their phones just like they, it has nothing to do with Cubs fans.
But I think people love to assume that you're that person, and the reality is,
well, Kurt, you are.
We're not.
But, I mean, you go there and you wear your tank top and
I don't wear shirts
up, and
I don't even wear a shirt, just topless.
Well, we're back on moobs.
Yep. Throw the moobs out, the dad bod out there, and let it be. But yeah, I don't know. I just it's not an argument you can usually win because people aren't gonna meet you halfway. But
yeah,
keep up the fight.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I know. I kind of enjoyed living in areas like when I lived in California. Obviously, there weren't a lot of Cubs fans around, but there were a few. And I really kind of enjoyed that because, like, if I saw someone in public wearing a Cubs shirt or a Cubs hat, then you could stop and talk to them. And so there's kind of that, like, I don't do that around here. I mean, if I'm standing in line next to somebody at a grocery store and we're just standing there and they're wearing a Cubs thing, I might just be like, hey, do you watch the game today or something like that? But I don't know. So I think there's something like kind of I don't know. What am I trying to say here, Kurt? The camaraderie of being in not necessarily like hostile territory, but like just I don't know.
But there'll be definitely a lot of bandwagon hoppers that will give them fuel for their arguments. But
right.
But you know what? Hey, I've got 7 years of podcasts recorded to prove that I did not hop on this bandwagon.
The truth is, that's the only reason the IVMV podcast exists.
That's why we keep. It's the only reason we keep going.
We don't want to be accused of being bandwagon jumpers. Here, let me send you a link to episode number 78.
Episode number 4. Yeah. They were pretty good then. But.
Right. Let's send them all the back catalog of 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question, though. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for you. Just they're gonna get their digs in. They're gonna, you're gonna hear about the 100 years plus thing. You're gonna hear about the GOAT. You're gonna hear about all Bartman. You're gonna hear those things. And
if they're Cardinals fans, though, pull up baseball's best fans on Twitter.
Yeah, right.
And just show them that and say, this is why I'm not a Cardinals fan.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, and know that those of us that live in Cubs territory still hear those things. I mean, I hear Bartman frequently. I hear Billy, or the goat stuff frequently. I hear all that junk. So stand tall. Wear your Cubby blue with pride. This last question is from Twitter, and this, I didn't ask for questions, but you can send us questions anytime and we'll kind of fit them into the episode. If it fits into the midweek episode, we'll put them into. Typically, we save our questions for the end of the week episode, but we threw some in here. So this comes from Twitter, and it is at Rub-a-Dub-Cub.
That's a great name.
So Rub-a-Dub-Cub says, a few off seasons ago, we missed out on Anibal Sanchez and had to settle for Edwin Jackson. Imagine the rotation if they signed him.
Definitely would be better.
Well, I mean, it's worth mentioning that Sanchez is not having a great season.
No.
His ERA is over 2 runs higher than it was last season. His FIP is around a run and a half higher than last season. That said, he's better than Edwin Jackson. So
right. He'd still be in this rotation. Let's say, yeah.
Right. Although, I'm not going to get too down on this rotation. I was kind of curious today, and so I looked. In all of baseball, they rank 4th in ERA, 7th in FIP, and 4th in WAR. So, this rotation has not been bad. And I do think that we're going to see. I think we're going to see the Cubs look at their options to strengthen it even further. But I see what you're saying, though. Rub-a-Dub-Cub. It would have been nice if when the Cubs did go out and spend money on a pitcher when they got Edwin Jackson, it just would, or let me put it this way, it would be nice if Edwin Jackson turned out to be what they thought he was going to be.
Right. Which is about what Sanchez is doing, but better than Sanchez is this year. But
right,
yeah.
Boy,
yeah, if Jackson would have been a 10-10 pitcher, you'd be pretty happy.
Yeah.
But
well, before we wrap this up, I wanted to tell a quick story. I mentioned it on the Daily Northside recap for this morning, for Wednesday morning, that something happened at my Pee Wee team game, and I thought that you guys listening might get a kick out of this. So I don't have any kids on the team that I'm pitching. My girls are both in T-ball and or coaching, not pitching. And they don't let me pitch. Otherwise, man, I'd be so freaking good out there.
Yeah, who's that guy for the Rays that like pitched for his kids' team and then ended up coming back? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know.
Like he ended up getting strengthened. He used to pitch and then he strengthened his arm because he pitched so much batting practice for his kids' team.
Oh. I was just thinking,
I'm just gonna Google it.
If I could go out there and pitch against those kids, I'd be throwing no hitters. Anyway,
he's throwing your.
So, anyways, okay. So our game was done, and we were watching a Little League game, and I was hanging out with, talking with my player that got injured, and he said we're talking and stuff, and he goes, "So, my mom told me that you used to coach for the Cubs." And I was like, no, that's not true. Yeah. And so, like, I don't know, like, he didn't really get into that much detail, but I think that several kids on the team think that I used to coach for the Cubs.
That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty funny.
They think you're Wendell Kim.
Yeah, I'm like thinking, like, so I'm trying to think, like, okay, does that mean that, like, they think that my coaching is good enough that I could coach a major league team? Or, like, I should have said, like, yeah, that's true, but I really felt that we had a good team and I really just wanted to see what we could do this season, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens next year. I may be back. We'll see.
I saw something in you boys.
Right. But anyways, I don't know. It made me giggle as he was saying that to me, and so I thought that all of you would appreciate. I said, no, I do a podcast on the Cubs, which he thought was pretty cool too. So even though he told me he's a Cardinals fan, but
Ooh,
Yeah.
that kid's not playing anymore.
Right. All right. Well, that does it for this week's episode. Again, if you want to go to our meetup at Saturday's Iowa Cubs game, you can email me, Corey@ivenv.com, or tweet @ivenv. So the Cubs head to Washington for a 4-game series with the Nationals. We'll be back on Sunday evening to discuss that series and what we saw at the Iowa Cubs game and really anything else that happens with the Cubs between now and then. And so until Sunday night, go Cubs. All right.
Got one in the books.
Yeah. Thanks for helping with that. I really had no idea what to do. Like, if Andy wasn't going to be able to, I was like, I can't do it on my own. Like, that would be so weird.
He basically got lucky that it wasn't my night to do bedtime.
Oh, yeah.
That's a chore around these parts. It's like an hour-long process.
Not a dark to bed.
Ours is.
Hey, plans. What's your plans? Are you...
Sorry, you're cutting out. Hold on. And you're stuck.
Hello?
It's coming. All right, talk again. See if it's back. There you go.
Hello.
I think I got audio back.
Yeah. I was, you know what? It was my fault because I was opening Audition to start editing. What's your plan on Saturday night? Are you driving home?
Yes. Yeah. Are you staying?
Yeah, we got a hotel room just because we're gonna go up earlier in the day, and it's like, I don't know, it's like, it's like 3.5 hours for us. So
yeah, we just, I don't know. Maybe where do you know which
where are we staying? We just got a cheap, like Bob and Lindsay are staying there too. I think it's just like Motel 6 or something. I didn't want to spend a lot of money.
You should have looked on well, I'm gonna look on Priceline and see if you can get some decent deals. Last week.
I mean, I kind of priced around a little bit.
Actually, go look right now. For the plan right now is to stay, or I'm sorry, to drive home. But if we can find a cheap hotel, we might
stay like somewhere up off. I think.
Where?
I think up off I-80.
Yeah,
I think
we stayed downtown, like at the.
Yeah, downtown it was like
there.
It was like $125, and I was like, I don't want to spend that when like all we're gonna do is go there late, sleep, and then as soon as we get up, we're going home. You know, and it's like I don't want to spend a bunch of money. And actually, you know what? They've Motel 6 has like redone a lot of theirs, and I think this one is that style that the new ones are. We stayed in it in Denver. Nice. They kind of did it. It kind of has like an IKEA feel.
Oh yeah. There must be something going down on there because the prices are pretty high.
Yeah, I tried I priced all over the place. I tried Airbnb. There was basically nothing.
Yeah.
There was
we're
farmhouse.
It's only like, I mean, it's probably like an hour 40 minutes for us, so it's not too bad.
Yeah.
But it will be a late night.
Yeah. And I tweeted El Bait Shop, and sounds like they're cool with it. I was a little nervous about that.
Oh no, I've actually talked to him about it before when I've been there.
Oh yeah. As long as it's not packed in there, because sometimes you go in there and it's like, I mean, one time I went in there, it was fairly busy.
It'll be busy before the game, but the funny thing is like we went the last time we were at that game, we brought the kids with us, but like we assumed, right before the game it's gonna be packed with like Cubs people, nobody there was there for the Cubs. They were just
Right.
there.
Right.
So yeah, it's not bad. And they're during the day, I think they're totally cool with.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Yep. Yeah, you don't bring them there at midnight or anything.
I want to get this thing.
Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, nothing. All right.
All right.
I'll talk to you later.
Well, thanks for doing that. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Sure.
Peace.